Welcome to the Economic Preparation Channel. I'm your host, Tony. Thank you for joining me on this Tuesday brief edition on August 13th, 2024. Please be sure to subscribe to this channel so you can get the latest notifications when a new video arrives. Thank you for your support and your comments. Appreciate everyone here on this channel. We're just briefly going to talk about the federal deficit that grows 10% to $244 billion. That's in addition to the $35 trillion U.S. debt that we're all a part of. And so this was an article by Newsmax Money, and you can see that, we're going to continue to have government spending, no matter if we're in a recession or depression or even in a booming economy. Government spending is going to continue, and we're not the only government that's doing this. Around the world, many other governments are spending money, whether it be on defense, on infrastructure, on planning, future planning, succession planning. All of that is tapping. But for us, we are the leaders in terms of spending in this 15 to 16 trillion dollar U.S. economy every year. So we're getting record budget deficits this year again, and of course the federal government or any government doesn't have to have a balanced budget. They just have to make sure that they have the debt service cost to be able to service the debts on this type of money. So I thought it was interesting. For the first 10 months of the 2024 fiscal year, the U.S. deficit fell 6% to $1.51 trillion from the same period. So the government fiscal year ends September 30th, as you know, and so the year-to-date receipts, were up 11% to $4.85 trillion. And so this is very concerning for the Treasury here. And many Americans are penny pinching. They are slaying inflation. So many Americans are finding ways, shopping at the thrift shop here, like this young lady, or vintage clothing, or not eating out as much, or cutting subscriptions to Netflix and other things. Anyway, they're not allowing sharing, as you know, for people who do sharing. So we're sharing Netflix and other subscriptions, Hulu's and all that stuff like that. So many Americans are cutting back on eating out. They're cutting back on subscription services, buying more clothes from, not so much name brand clothing, maybe, or the case may be. And so that's helping a lot of us during this heavy time of inflation. And CNN Business today tells us that a key inflation gauge shows price hikes slowed last month. So now you're telling us that things are slowing down in terms of the price hikes. Now, as me and you know that, ladies and gentlemen, that price hikes, just because price hikes are slowing doesn't mean that it's not occurring. So it's still occurring. It's just that it's slowing down. The pace of inflation slowing down. And of course, this is all anticipation to next month, the big all-important rate cut. How much will it be? Will it be 50 basis points or 75 basis points or more? But economic jitters remain, according to CNN Business. This just came out today. As you know, the Dow Jones was basically almost up today after being the down days. And you rarely see these workers on assembly lines here making Volvo construction equipment on the plant here in Shippensburg, Pennsylvania. Here they're making this equipment here. Looks like they're making something for asphalt road paving equipment or something like that. But anyway, wholesale inflation slowed down in July as expected. So many economists had already expected that. The Producer Price Index is a measurement of average price changes seen by producers and manufacturers, was 2.2% for 12 months ending in July. This is a pullback from the 2.7 increase registered in June, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics data released in Tuesday. So on a monthly basis, prices only rose 0.1% at a slower pace than the 0.2% increase in June. So that's some good news. So the Dow Jones went up 409 points as investors cheered the slowdown in price hikes. That's good news, that's somewhat good news. But the issue is that paychecks have not gone up at the same pace. The rate, and now I know in 2025 for Social Security recipients and others, there's going to be a big cost of living increase in those means. But how much of that's going to be offset by the rising prices in gas and food? As gas is continuing to rise up now, even though we're heading into the later summer and even to the fall, but gas prices continue to rise. And so we just have to wait and see how that's going to play out there, because food and energy prices are still rising. And this number here, the core PPI and the CPI, the Consumer Price Index, it strips out, of course, food, energy, and then transportation. The cost to move these goods and services from the ports, the shipping ports, the railway ports to the stores, all the stores, or to the Amazon plants and all that. So that's something that's going to be. So all eyes are on Wednesday, tomorrow. The Consumer Price Index comes out tomorrow, and this comes on the heel of an unexpectedly weak jobs report that sent markets into a tailspin last week. So what's going to send the markets into a tailspin this week, ladies and gentlemen? Is it going to be a weak number? Is it going to be a high number of inflation? Or is it going to be a high number of unemployment? So is unemployment data going to be high? And that's coming out on Wednesday and Thursday of this week. If the numbers are high, you can expect the Dow Jones to continue to go down maybe for a day or two as investors digest the news that maybe things are not as rosy as it appears to be. Like I said, so the good news is, and they see the same question the article asks, well, what if the CPI comes in hot? And well, basically, you know what you mean. We have a 4.3 unemployment rate, and that's going to be rising recently. They say it remains well below the average seen during the past 50 years. That's kind of true. I mean, I'm in the 80s and the 70s, they had unemployment close to 15%, the official unemployment. But you have to remember that the unemployment number doesn't count those who have given up looking for jobs, or those who have more than one job, a side hustle or something like that. It doesn't count those numbers in the official working under the table. It doesn't count those numbers in this 4.3%. So the inflation has cooled significantly. That is true, since hitting the 40-year high in 2022, but it's still persistent. And so this is the problem that the Federal Reserve Bank faces, is that they're kind of darned if they do, darned if they don't. If they raise rates, they leave rates unchanged, things continue to slow down. In an election year, it's bad for everybody, regardless of your party. It's bad for the whole U.S. economy. And if they lower rates, it's saying that the purchasing power of the dollar continues to get weak and print up more money. Let's say that you get a stimulus check or something after the elections, and they print up more money and they lower the rates down to 3% or something. That's going to signal that this economy is not in good shape. And so either way, it's going to be interesting to see. And Jerome Powell said in May, he said that he doesn't see the stag or quote deflation. So he's saying he doesn't see stagflation, meaning that inflation is going to persist and the job market's going to go down. He doesn't see that, and he doesn't see inflation. So that's going to be interesting to see how they're going to handle the purchasing power, keep the purchasing power of everybody's dollars good, while at the same time bringing this inflation down to the targeted quote-unquote 2% that everybody's talking about. So we have to wait and see. In the meantime, continue to pinch those pennies, continue to cut back where you need to, but still enjoy life, but still cut back when you need to, where you need to, in whatever area that you think you may need to cut back on, whether that's food, security, water, transportation, maybe carpool, or, whatever the case may be, and housing. Just think about that as we continue to see this deficit grow, because it's not a good combination. The math doesn't add up. The deficit is growing, spending is growing, paychecks are not growing, and the good paying, high paying jobs are already being shipped overseas, and and that's not growing as fast as everybody says it is either. So let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you so much for joining me today on this Tuesday edition. Get ready for the Thursday edition. We're going to be talking about the jobs numbers, inflation, healthcare costs going up for many people, medical debt, and there's other kind of debt. That is it going to be forgiven or not, or how are they going to work that as well, with an aging U.S. population here that's growing in a couple of years here as well, with the baby boomers retiring and aging out, and some other people that may be aging out too as well. So let me know what you think in the comments. God bless. Talk to you soon. Thank you for listening.